What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. After all this time making videos, and after seeing comments from you guys too, I've come to realize Bulma has never really been too important in my videos. Like, of course she does the usual stuff with the time machine, and that's kind of it. The whole reason this series started is because of her, and considering how important she is to the cast, I think it's about time I made a scenario surrounding her. But of course with What Ifs, that would have to involve her being a Z fighter. People have suggested a ton of different ideas of how I can implement this, but I think I found a pretty good way to do it that makes sense, and is also relatively unique. And most importantly, in character. So that's what we're going to start covering today. In this brand new series, What If Bulma Was a Z Fighter? We'll set a like goal of 5,500 likes for this part. Hitting that lets me know you guys have an interest in the series, and I'll turn it into a full story. And with that intro out of the way, let's begin. The most important part of the scenario is the fact that we need a motivation for Bulma. And the perfect motivation is King Piccolo. Or rather, something he does. Bulma finds it pretty interesting that Piccolo did all of this to gain his youth again. But that's not really that important to her. The thing that gets to her is the fact that one day, she's going to be old and wrinkly like King Piccolo. She doesn't like that idea. Bulma is pretty vain when it comes to her looks, so maybe this would weigh on her. Of course she doesn't have to worry about it for a while. But she starts thinking of potential solutions. So she could use the Dragon Balls to preserve her youth, but that might be going too far. Especially now while she still has her youth. And also, it's too unnatural. We see this verbatim in Superhero and Broly. She doesn't like to go too far with her wishes because she wants it to look natural. But she gets an idea. Maybe being more active will help her. But even better, she wonders what the cosmetic effects of Ki are. She asks Roshi first, and honestly, he has no clue. But he does mention he's over 300 years old. Granted, his old age is for a different reason, but Bulma doesn't even ask about that. She thinks for being as old as he is, he looks pretty good. Honestly, she doesn't care about living long, she just cares about having those good looks for long. And she wonders if he'll train her, just to get the basic principles of Ki down. First of all, he tells her that's very advanced training. Training with him is a good stepping stone, but isn't the only thing she'll need. And also, a true martial artist won't just train to look good. They have other reasons to train. But Bulma doesn't like that answer. She's just gonna have to find out herself. She could ask Goku, but he's already with Kami, so she has no way of getting to him. But thankfully there's a few other people around her, specifically Tenshinhan, Yamcha, and Krillin. Krillin's surprised to hear that she wants to train to learn Ki. But just like Roshi told her, she's gonna need a lot more than that. You can't just jump into that, you need to have an understanding of martial arts too. Ten says he'll be glad to show her the ropes. He is a pretty great martial artist, and of the three humans here, he is the strongest right now. And this actually interests her. That sounds great, she'll just train with Ten. But Yamcha gets wind of this and doesn't like it one bit. That scoundrel Ten is trying to steal Bulma from him. Really, he's just trying to help her, but Yamcha thinks otherwise. This is right after King Piccolo happens, and Krillin actually thinks the same thing. They still don't really know what Ten's like, but he was a pretty bad guy up until like a few days ago. But he nudges Yamcha and tells him this is a perfect opportunity. Think about it, this way he gets to grow stronger while training, but also strengthen his relationship with his girlfriend. And he tells Yamcha too, if he trains more and grows stronger, he's gonna really impress her. Yamcha doesn't know why he's taking advice from this kid, but yeah, Krillin's right. It's time for Yamcha to take initiative. So he steps up to the plate and decides he's going to start training Bulma. Although Ten does have to help out because he has a better understanding of martial arts than Yamcha does. But now Yamcha gets to at least be involved, and can try to impress Bulma along the way. And now begins her journey of learning to use Ki. And she does stick with it. Krillin isn't too surprised. Once she gets challenged to do something, she's going to see it through. But she is starting from square one, so she has a long way to go. Roshi eventually decides to have her join the turtle school. This is a few months in, and she starts doing the training Goku and Krillin did. So it's probably getting pretty serious by this point. So there's two things I want to address first. One, Bulma's design. I could just slap a turtle school gi on her, but no. I want something more unique for her. So I was kind of debating what to do here. I did want her to have a new look every arc because that's what she always does anyways. But full transparency, that's not going to work for my videos because then I'd have to commission a bunch of different arts for pretty much every part of the series, which would take a lot of time and cost a lot. Unless I drew it myself, which would take even longer. So I kind of had to settle on just one design. And I really like this one right here. Obviously it's a fitting design for Bulma because it's an official design that was used. And there are a few others that I almost chose from, which I'll show on screen here, but this is what I'm going to use for her design. It's fitting for Bulma, it can be practical for battle too, at least if she takes the coat off, and most importantly, I like how it looks. And another thing to address is her motivation here. This is more of a side note and not really anything too important, but her original motivation is the fact that she wants to maintain her youth. And it's actually an addition I'm going to make to Ki here in this story. Obviously she won't know for a while if this works. But there's two reasons I'm doing this. One, with the more energy he ate, Moro actually was able to restore his youth. Granted, it's a very different scenario, but still, worth mentioning. And on top of that, yes, this is a JoJo reference. Mainly referencing Hamon and how it can keep its users looking young. Completely different series, completely different power system, but it was worth mentioning here because it did inspire me. And it also lets me put Joseph Joestar right on the screen right here. I love you, Joseph. Anyways, back to the story. We eventually arrive at the 23rd World Tournament, and Bulma's actually going to enter here. It'll be the first true test of her abilities. And that test comes before the tournament even starts. She's in the preliminaries, and one of the people she has to fight is Cyborg Tao. This guy kind of freaks her out. Besides the cyborg stuff, he's an assassin. but she might be the perfect opponent for him. He actually does overpower her in terms of raw strength, and also raw abilities. But Bulma's able to do something against him that most other people wouldn't be able to do. Bulma is a genius when it comes to tech after all, and this battle is tough for her at first, but then she finds a flaw in his design. And with this small flaw, she's able to exploit it, causing his cybernetics to basically completely fall apart, putting him at a huge disadvantage and allowing Bulma to knock him out of the ring, letting her go on to the actual tournament itself. Of course, Goku's watching the entire time. He already heard that she was training, and now this is the first example of it. When they said she was going to fight, he didn't think they were serious. He thought she was just here to spectate, but no, she actually is fighting. She initially started training to keep herself fit and look good, but honestly, she kind of likes this now. It's a lot of fun. And again, once she puts her mind to something, she's not going to stop doing that. And also, fighting Tao makes her think. She would probably never modify herself to look stronger. Again, she wants it all natural. Doing whatever Tao did, that would look terrible. Plus, on top of that, she's wary of using tech to gain her power, especially after seeing what happened with him. One small exploit and everything falls apart. No matter what machine she makes for combat, it could have a fault, so she doesn't want to risk that. That's something that other Z fighters brought up to her during her training, and that's why she's not using any sort of tech here to fight. Also because she's not training to be the strongest person ever. So for those 3 reasons, don't expect her to be making an Iron Man suit or anything like that in the scenario anytime soon. She is actually going to be a Z fighter and use her own raw strength, which I feel is a pretty fun route to go down still, especially with the type of fighter she's going to be when she's trained more. Now the actual tournament begins, and Bulma's probably not going to make it too far. The fact she's in the tournament itself is great. She made it past the preliminaries. And with Bulma defeating Tao, that means Bulma's going to be the one to fight 10. And there's no question that he's going to win here, but he's still impressed with her strength and her abilities. Considering how she's only been training for a few years, she has grown considerably in that amount of time. Also, small side note, 10's never going to get his chest scar here. It might show up in some of the arts in this video because I'll just forget, but yeah, without him fighting Tao, that's not going to happen. But we should just keep it. I think it's a cool little addition to his design. And it means I don't have to scribble out the scar on all his arts, so yeah, let's keep it for now. Let's let it slide. The rest of the tournament goes relatively normal. There is another thing to note, and it's the fact that Chi-Chi might actually be jealous of Bulma, hoping that Goku's not interested in her. She saw this in the preliminaries. First of all, Goku didn't even recognize her, and second of all, Goku seemed pretty friendly with that girl. Not to mention, he was impressed by her martial arts prowess too. Granted, Chi-Chi knows that she's the better fighter, and she'd love to beat Bulma in a fight to prove that. Although thankfully, things still do work out for her. She completely misread the situation, and she and Goku do get engaged, but it does stick in the back of her mind. And I think this is a nice little plot point to include. Just like Yamcha's jealous of 10 training Bulma, giving him more motivation to train, the same thing's gonna happen with Chi-Chi. She knows that Goku's impressed by her martial arts talent, and maybe it makes Chi-Chi think, hey, I want to start training more too. This way, Yamcha and Chi-Chi are both going to be more involved in the story, both for oddly simple and similar reasons. Obviously, both of these motivations won't last for a while. They're just kind of things that these two are thinking in the moment, but as they get closer with their partners and start training more with them too, it kind of just sticks in the background. And once again, Goku's gone for a bit, leaving with Chi-Chi and his friends don't see him for a while. Although over this time, they're all still interacting. Krillin, 10, Yamcha, and Bulma still hang around together, mainly because a lot of the things they do involve training. Bulma is still far behind everybody else, so she's catching up, but she thinks she's found a way to train more efficiently. Now, she doesn't want to use tech for her strength, but she could still use it as a catalyst to gain more strength. As in, maybe she could build some things to help her train more efficiently. First, it starts with robots that she could fight with, but then she builds full-on training facilities, bringing along the other humans to train. And once she's got a better hang of everything, she might try and build a room that increases her weight, some sort of gravity chamber maybe. All her friends use weights from their training, so why not artificially increase that weight? But also during this time, she develops her own sort of fighting style. Yeah, she gets a hang of martial arts, but she's more interested in the ki aspect of it. And as she gets a better control on ki, she tries to figure out new ways to utilize it. This is still very advanced, not just for her, but everybody else. But she theorizes that maybe if she figures out how to focus ki into one place, she could change her attacks completely. Like maybe she can create some sort of construct out of ki. But first she starts very simple. She's able to coat her arm in ki and basically create a blade from it. It takes a lot of focus and power right now, but it's pretty cool, and she knows that she definitely wants to work towards doing more like this. So a big focus of her training is, well, focus. Trying to focus that ki. Trying to figure out how to harness it and materialize it into different things. This is definitely going to come into play later, and it's going to be a big part of her fighting style. Although, besides just training at her own facilities in Kame House, she eventually does go to Kame as well, basically having her drag Yamcha along. He still does want to keep up the good looks for her, so he's still going to keep training just to impress her. But that push from her is just what he needed. Her own motivation rubs off on him. And things are looking up for Yamcha. He might end up being the strongest human after all. Eventually, we get to a reunion at Kame House. The crowd there this time has a few more people. Obviously Roshi, Krillin, and Bulma are there, but also Yamcha, 10, and Chaozu are there too. Both Goku and Chi-Chi are invited, and they eventually show up. Surprisingly enough, with a kid. Everything's fun so far, but far away they don't even realize that an alien just landed on the planet. Well, another alien, because he's not the first. Raditz meets with Piccolo just like normal, and then eventually finds Kame House. He has a pretty intimidating introduction, and he does underestimate everybody here, but little does he realize collectively, they all overpower him. At first he humiliates some of them. Krillin's the first one to step up and he gets tail whipped. Then Ten tries to approach him, but he's flung out into the water by Raditz. But then Gohan catches his eye. Both Goku and Chi-Chi stand in front of Gohan, protecting him from Raditz, but Raditz simply walks up to both of them, and with each fist, he punches them both aside. Well, if Kakarot's not going to join him, he'll just kidnap Gohan for himself, with Raditz quickly then flying off. Obviously everyone's going to chase him down. Bulma pulls out a capsule, and in it is a ship that could fit everybody. They all board on and follow Raditz. And as the ship takes off, Piccolo lands at Kame House. He was going to offer to team up with them, but it looks like Raditz already came here. He might be a little bit too late. And while we have the opportunity, let's cover everyone's power levels. Goku's power is 500, which is stronger than normal. This is because with his training, he's had a training partner, that being Chi-Chi. Although behind him is Yamcha, the strongest human who's at 460. But the others aren't too far behind. Ten's at 450, and Krillin's at 440. Then there's a little bit of a gap, with Bulma at 350. She did start later than everyone else, but 350 is a pretty high power level, especially considering that. Clearly she's made a lot of progress. Behind that is Chi-Chi at 250, and also Chaozu at 250. The reason Goku and Chi-Chi aren't higher is because, well, Gohan. There had to be periods where both of them didn't train, especially Chi-Chi. Goku at least could have done some more things himself, but it's not like he had a training partner that entire time, and Chi-Chi was out of commission for quite a while. Otherwise, both of them would have been a lot stronger. Now back to the story. Raditz gets back to his ship, placing Gohan inside of it. But then an aircraft lands nearby. He holds up an arm to shoot it down, but then quickly jumps back as his arm is almost skewered. Bulma was the first to jump out of the ship, throwing spears of ki down at him. Not spheres, spears. She's gotten a better control in creating weapons with ki. The downside is right now it takes a lot of focus still, and it takes up a lot of her energy. But these attacks are powerful, and had that spear actually hit Raditz, it probably would have gone right through his hand and his arm. Yamcha and Ten then fly out of the ship, fighting in unison as Krillin and Chaozu join in too. Goku and Chi-Chi rush over to save Gohan, and right after they're sure he's safe, Chi-Chi's ki then flares up, furious at the fact that Gohan was stolen. Obviously Goku's angry too, but we know how angry Chi-Chi can get. She then rushes in, getting a temporary power boost from this anger too. Goku's actually never seen her this mad, and it does help her fight. He just hopes it doesn't cause her to lose focus and mess up here. Raditz is being significantly overwhelmed. He has all these people fighting him at once, and not only is he outnumbered, but he is overpowered. And to make things worse, Bulma then focuses once more, this time creating a ring out of ki, basically a proto-galactic donut. Throwing it around Raditz, and with all her focus, she's able to squeeze it together. But this basically puts her out of the fight because she has to put all her focus and energy into this. And it does restrain Raditz for a bit as the rest of them beat on him. Raditz struggles to break free from it, but at the very last second, his eyes widen as he sees something in the distance. Quickly he launches 2 ki blasts from his feet, rocketing to the air, breaking free from the restraints as something then grazes his leg. A powerful beam of energy flies across the battlefield. Everyone jumps out of the way, not even expecting it. And off in the distance, they can see Piccolo there, with Raditz just as surprised. It's that Namekian from before. They don't know why Piccolo's here too or what he's doing, but he says that restraint was a good idea. They should try doing that again. That'll allow him to get the kill shot. But little did he know, they were actually already fine. They didn't need Piccolo to intervene. And they've basically backed Raditz into a corner. And they look back into the sky and see he's actually gone. Oh yeah, they should have realized that would have provided him a good escape. They look over at a spaceship, and Raditz is actually retreating. Quickly the ship rockets off, but Raditz sees something out the window that concerns him. There's a ball of ki flying towards him. He tries to maneuver the ship out of the way, but nothing works. The ball keeps following him. And then, it hits the ship. The back of the ship is completely blown off, with the engine being damaged as it crash lands to the ground. Yamcha launched a spirit ball that followed the ship, with him successfully shooting it down. They all go over to where Raditz is, and reluctantly, he gets back up to fight, but he's clearly nervous. He's in over his head. He thought he'd be able to handle this, but he fights back, although he doesn't fight back for long. With all the energy he uses and all the injuries he sustains, Raditz eventually is defeated, no longer able to fight. He does have one last resort though. He taps on a scouter, trying to communicate with Vegeta. He tells them no matter what they do, the Saiyans are going to come to avenge him. Although they don't really plan on killing Raditz anyways, which comes as a surprise to him and Vegeta. Well, if they're not going to kill him, then Raditz tells Vegeta to come here and get him. He needs some way to get off this planet. Vegeta just laughs at this. He lost the fight and they're not even going to kill him. Why doesn't Raditz just eliminate them himself? Did that weakling actually lose the fight? Now maybe if he died, the Saiyans would come there. But they have no other reason to come to this planet anyways. They don't hear of the Dragon Balls, and Raditz is still alive. He can make it off there on his own. They have no reason to go. It doesn't seem like Kakarot is worth retrieving anymore, especially if he's too soft to even kill Raditz. Raditz keeps trying to ask Vegeta to get him help, but nothing works and Vegeta just ends up basically ghosting him. He could care less. There's nothing on that planet that's worth anything. The people there seem weak, Kakarot's weak and weak-minded, and Raditz is weak and weak-minded. Maybe they're better off without Raditz anyways. As the group contemplates what to do with Raditz, and Raditz contemplates what to do next for himself, this is where we'll leave off for now. What do you guys think about this part? And what's going to happen next time? Leave any thoughts or suggestions in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. As usual, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already, especially if you want to see more parts of the series or if you just want to help out the channel. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.